Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the It Girl Mindset. Today, we're going to go over how to set goals for your winter arc and not only set them, but actually show up and take the aligned action so you can actually reach your goals. Most people hit October and then start to slow down. They're like, okay, it's the holiday season. I just kind of want to rest and I'll just start fresh January 1st. But that's not what you're going to do, right? Me and you together, we are going to crush our goals for the last 3 months of the year. This is you entering your winter arc, the season where you're going to lock in, reset, and focus on your goals. So by the time you get to January, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of everyone. So in today's episode, I'm going to share my exact 7-step framework that I've been using to set aligned goals and actually follow through on them. I know that you can commit and crush this winter arc. So let's do this together. If you've ever felt like you set goals but never follow through on them, or during the winter months, you usually just wait until January to start over, this episode is for you. Because the winter arc isn't about waiting. It's about deciding who you want to be and then building the habits and structure to actually get there. You guys, this is like one of my favorite things ever to talk about. I love talking about step-by-step game plans, setting goals, how to take the aligned action. So this is going to be such a fun episode. I wanted to do it right before the actual winter arc started. I know this is coming out one day before. I just set my goals last week. So I was like, this is the perfect thing to talk about because I want you guys to be set up for the last 3 months. So you can crush your goals. Okay, let's get into it. Welcome to the It Girl Mindset, where I help you step into the next level version of yourself by mastering your mindset, manifesting your deepest desires, and connecting deeply with your body. It's about becoming the most authentic, radiant, unapologetic, and unbothered version of yourself. Together, we're going to chat about how to unlock your true potential and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're ready to become the healthiest, hottest, and most abundant version of yourself, you're in the perfect place. Let's get into it. Step number 1 is deciding who you want to be. And I know that this is such a big question, but it's really important to figure out the identity and who is this future version of you before you just start setting random goals, right? You want to be really intentional and think about, who do I want to be? What is she like? What is my dream life like? What's my dream day look like, right? So really diving into who this version of you is. Because again, I think we can get so caught up in choosing goals because we think that's what we have to do, or we think that's what we should do, or we think we want a goal because of how it looks on social media rather than what the actual day-to-day looks like, right? So again, just make sure you're being intentional about this. Just really thinking about your future self and what your dream life looks like, right? Your dream life is going to look way different than mine. Do you want to be a content creator? Do you want to be a podcaster? Do you want to thrive in your corporate job? Do you want to branch off and start your own business? Do you want to be a coach, right? And while yes, all of those identities are important, but you also have to be aware of what those types of careers or jobs or whatever it may be actually do on a day-to-day basis. Because even for me, I'll just tell you this as an example. Being a content creator, being a podcaster, I didn't realize how much editing it was going to take. And you might be like, duh, Ashley, you have to edit content to post it. Filming is one small part of what it is to be a content creator, and editing is like 75% of it. So again, I'm just telling you to think about these things and not just think about what the job or career. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to live, right? Just dream so big and do not be realistic. I hate when people say, yeah, just be realistic. No. If you could have anything in the world, your dream life, your dream partner, your dream body, what would that look like, okay? If you have something in your brain, I always say this, it's there for a reason. You don't have random things in your brain if you don't actually want them. Unless, of course, there's some sort of limiting belief or something that, from your childhood where your parents were, your parents always assumed you were going to be a lawyer or a doctor, and so you always thought that that's what you're going to be. But no, I want you to ask your soul, your heart, like, what do you want and who do you want to be? This is really important before you set goals so you can get clear on your general direction. And if you don't exactly know right now, then this is your reminder to get quiet with yourself and give yourself some space to actually think about that, right? Because if we're constantly stimulated, which 90% of us are, where we're on social media, we're on YouTube, we're, walking and listening to a podcast, right? There's nothing wrong with any of that. If you put a podcast on while you're in the shower, or if you're walking and only listening to podcasts, you're never going to be able to understand who you really are and what you really want, right? Me, I had to get really quiet with myself to figure out who I wanted to be. And I've been questioning a lot about what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Who am I, right? And these are all questions to just ask yourself. You don't have to put pressure on yourself to know exactly right in this moment, but it's important to think about that before you set your goals. Step number 2 is to pick your goal categories, okay? Depending on your priorities in life and where you're at in life, these could be very different, right? So some categories are business or career, yourself, your life, and or maybe family. If you are brand new to goal setting, I would just pick 2 to start with and then go from there. You can always increase later on if you want, but since we've got 3 months left at the end of the year, just pick 2 that really stand out for you. And if there's another category that you're like, no, I really want to focus on this, then that's fine too. But for me, my 3 categories that I have been working towards this year are business, self, and life. My family definitely is a priority to me, but I don't feel like I need to set goals. But maybe if you're a mom, that would make more sense to have a section for family because you really want to thrive in that area. There's nothing wrong with that, just like there's nothing right with focusing on self, life, career, whatever it may be, but choose goals that are aligned with you and the priorities that you really want to focus on. So for me, like I said, I'm doing business, self, and life. So for example, some of my self and life goals under self, it was clear my skin, which shouts out, universe, all the deep work I've been doing. We are very close to being fully clear. My skin has gotten so much better over the last year. It's insane, like night and day difference. Praise the universe, because oh my God, that I literally wouldn't wish acne on my worst enemy. It's so miserable, but that's a whole other podcast episode. Another one for self was to hit 1 year of no alcohol, which again, I'm on track, and I set that at the beginning of the year. Actually, I'm a week away from that, so that's pretty legit. And then for life, for example, one of them is go on a retreat, which just signed up for that. Again, I set all of these at the beginning of the year, and it's crazy to see how they actually start to unfold. Another life one could be, if I wanted to do something more with a hobby, maybe I wanted to set a goal for my pole dancing or maybe for golfing, whatever it may be. Another self one could be if you really want to focus on reaching your dream body or having a weight loss goal, whatever it may be, or maybe just feeling good or healing your gut health, right? Okay, just to recap, you're going to choose your categories anywhere from 1 to 3. If you just want to focus on yourself, that's amazing too. Just focus on yourself. You can just choose one category. And then after that, you're going to set goals underneath each of the categories. Again, 1 to 2. And when it comes to setting goals, so there is this book called 10x is easier than 2x. And I kind of want to talk about the concept for a second because I think it can be really helpful when you kind of get too realistic with your goals. Let's just say you have a dream body goal, right? Maybe you want to lose 5 pounds, right? But you really wanted to lose 40 pounds, whatever it may be. Instead of just focusing on, okay, just the next 5 pounds, when you actually set bigger goals, it's easier to hit that because you have to fundamentally change who you are and the actions that you're taking. With that example, to lose 5 pounds, you might need to walk a little bit more, shift your eating a little bit, right? If you're just focusing on 5 pounds. But to lose 40 pounds, you have to change a lot of who you are, right? Even on a money example, let's just say you're like, okay, I'm making $5,000 a month. I want to make $50,000 a month. That's a big jump, and it's a good thing because then you start to think differently, right? You're not just like from 5 to 10,000. It's like, or even from 5 to 6,000. It's like, okay, maybe I'll just like do a couple of other things or ask for a small raise or like just like little things to change. But if you want to go from $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month, you have to fundamentally change the way you think, the way you act. Who is that person that makes $50,000 a month versus $5,000 a month, right? Two completely different types of habits, routines, the people they're talking to, the conversations they're having, right? Very different. Same with weight loss, right? Losing 5 pounds compared to losing 50 pounds. Very different mindsets, headspace, actions, right? Because if you're just trying to do baby step goals, you're not going to have to change what you're doing that much. But again, when you think about 10xing your goals, you're like, whoa, okay, that I'm going to really have to change how I think and how I act. And so it just expands your mind in a way that setting smaller goals doesn't. And I'm just going to be very honest with you. At the beginning of the year, I set 50K podcast downloads as a goal. I had no business setting 50K podcast downloads. I was literally delusional. Like if someone would have looked at my actual analytics and then saw that that was a goal of mine, they would have been like, you're delusional, you're crazy. And guess what? I'm actually on track for that. I'm on track for that, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Set goals not being realistic, but what do you actually want? Which ties back to that first step. It's like, what do you actually want? Not a watered down version of you, not, a realistic version of you. Dream world, dream life. What do you really want? And go after that, right? There's nothing too big. I think about this too, and I know we've chatted about this a lot, but it's just really was the beginning of my personal development journey. But the time that I decided I wanted to go out and be a professional dancer, whether that was NFL or NBA, I didn't know which one. I knew I wanted to do one of them. I was 30 pounds overweight. I was horrible to myself. I honestly wasn't dancing at all. I had taken a break from it. Again, I had no business being like, I'm going to be a professional dancer, right? When I wasn't practicing, I didn't have the body. I wasn't fit. I was so out of shape. Like I was binge drinking. Like I had no business. But guess what? I put it out into the world. And then I started learning about mindset. And I started learning about affirmations. And then I ended up losing 30 pounds. I ended up signing up for a dance clinic. I ended up making the team, obviously. But that's what I mean is like, there's nothing that is too big. Even if you're like, I am so far away from where I want to be, it doesn't even make logical sense that I would even have that goal. There is nothing that is too big. If it's in your brain, it's in there for a reason. So I want you to listen to that. Okay. So big tangent, but when you're setting goals, just make sure they're measurable, right? And if you don't necessarily know how to measure them, like example, clear skin. Ask yourself, how will I know when I reach this goal? What will you see? What will you hear? What will you feel? So for me, for clear skin, it's like I would feel freedom. I would see, I'm not going to say perfect skin because that doesn't exist, just minimal blemishes. So if it's not like 50K downloads and it's not an exact measurable goal like that, I want you to think about it in this way. I want you to write down the goal. So if it's clear skin, what will you see, hear, and feel? Maybe you'll hear people saying, wow, your skin looks amazing. And I'll see minimal blemishes. I will feel freedom to go out into the world without wearing makeup, right? That way, once you've actually reached the goal and it's not just like clear skin and you're like, maybe you actually reached that, but you actually never decided what that looks like. And so you feel like you're never actually there. Because if I didn't do that ahead of time, I do have a couple pimples right now. I could be like, well, I didn't reach my goal yet. So, right? So it's really important to be able to measure it in some way. It doesn't have to be like lose 20 pounds if that doesn't feel aligned for you. If it's more of a body goal, you could be like, I see myself in the mirror feeling confident about my outfit I'm wearing. I feel free of a negative relationship with food. I feel free to go out to eat and not be questioning what I should eat and if people are judging me, right? You can go ahead and set it up in whatever way you want. But again, remember, see, hear, feel. When I reach this goal, what will I see, hear, and feel? That way it makes it, again, more real for you. And also you'll be able to tell did I reach this goal or not? If it's not a specific like 50K podcast downloads, losing 20 pounds, right? 50K months. What's up, you guys? We're taking a quick little break here because I want to tell you about something that I made for you completely free. Since you know I'm in my soft girl discipline era, I actually put together a 6-week soft girl discipline reset. It's a Notion dashboard designed to help you get back on track without the pressure. Inside, you will find 15 full workouts that combine strength and Pilates so you can feel strong, toned, and confident in just 6 weeks. Inside the dashboard, you'll find a habit tracker, daily nutrition goal, and even a weekly check-in system. You can completely customize your own habits so they actually fit your lifestyle too. And if you love structure as much as I do, you can even sync it directly to a calendar so your reset flows seamlessly with your day. Imagine how you'll feel 6 weeks from now, lighter, more energized, clear-headed, and proud of the discipline you've built in a way that feels soft, feminine, and sustainable. Honestly, can't believe I'm giving this away for free, but if you are ready for that fresh start, grab the 6-week reset through the link down in the show notes today. Okay, back to the episode. Okay, so step number 4 is the aligned action. So underneath each of the goals, what you're gonna do next is actually write down what the action steps are to get you there. And that's why the 10x is easier than 2x is a good mental challenge, because it's like, okay, in order to lose X amount of weight, in order to be confident in my body, in order to hit 50K downloads, what are the actual steps that I need to take to get there, okay? And you're gonna write those down. For me, with continuing to not drink alcohol, one was I really needed to make sure I'm doing my morning routine every single day. That's kind of why I've meditated every single day with the no alcohol. So that's kind of like my action item is like meditate and do some sort of mindset work every single day so I can feel confident and feel my best. Another one was to continue investing in my mentor who really has helped me through this. Okay, so see how those are 2 action items that directly align with what my bigger goal is? Okay, maybe if it's, a dream body goal, maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to hit 10K steps every single day. I'm going to go to the gym twice a week and Pilates once a week. If it's a money goal, maybe it's more along the lines of researching a new side hustle. Maybe one of yours is creating content. So you're like, okay, I'm going to post 3 times a week. Or maybe I'm going to create a new Instagram or a new TikTok, whatever it may be. I want you to actually write down the exact action items that you're going to take every single day or week or month, whatever the cadence is. Step number 5 is to organize and time block. You guys know, I talk about this all the time. If you do not allocate time, you will not get it done. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but after you have decided what your aligned action items are, you're actually going to put those in your calendar. Time blocking, okay? For the dream body, maybe you got a self goal of reaching your dream body. You know what, maybe it's not a specific weight, but you're like, I am going to see this, hear this, and feel this, okay? You've got all of your categories down. You know exactly what it's going to look like once you've reached your goal. The aligned action you're going to take is the 2 gym workouts, 1 Pilates, and 10K steps every single day. For the 10K steps, you are not going to write 10K steps. You are going to time block and figure out, okay, if I do a 30-minute walk in the morning and a 45-minute walk in the afternoon, that will get me to my 10K step goal. Or maybe you do a 30-minute walk in the middle of the day at your corporate job, right? You are going to actually, in a Google Calendar, it's free, you're going to actually put that in there. But the cool thing about Google Calendar too is you can make recurring tasks. So even for me, every single morning I have a Walk Luna meeting in my Google Calendar that says Walk Luna. Every single morning I know from 7 to 8 or between 7 and 7:30, I'm going to take Luna for a walk, period. Every single day, even on the weekends. Obviously, I can move things around, which is why I love using a digital calendar rather than a written calendar. I like having to-do lists and stuff in a notebook, but in terms of an actual calendar, use technology because you can move things around and you can adjust super easily. You're going to put all of your aligned action in, even if your aligned action is, talk to so-and-so about maybe you want to be a podcaster. Talk to so-and-so. Reach out to Ashley about podcasting. You're going to put that, even if it takes you 5 minutes to do the task, you're going to put that in your calendar somewhere so you can visually see it and you're like, okay, this day, this time, I'm going to do this. So just to recap, you've done your identity work, you know who you want to be, or you have at least thought about it. You've picked your goals categories. You've written your quarterly goals underneath each category. And then underneath each of your goals, you have written out all the aligned action it's going to take to get there. Then you've taken each of those aligned action items and you've put them in your calendar. A Google Calendar is totally fine. Even if your action item isn't for 2 months, you're going to put that in your calendar, okay? Hi, my love. If you've been loving the podcast, I wanted to personally invite you over to my YouTube channel. My recent vlogs show behind the scenes of my day-to-day routines, rituals, business, golf, pole dancing, and everything in between. From discipline to fun, it's a deeper look into my real life behind the mic. I'd love to hang with you over there. Just go to youtube.com/AshleyRobots or go ahead and click the link in the show notes to watch my latest vlog. Can't wait to hang with you over there. Step number 6 is to make a vision board. I feel like a lot of people are like, what do vision boards even do? It's actually insane looking at my vision board because you kind of look at it and then you're not thinking about it all the time. You just see it, like I have it as the background of my computer. So I see it every single day when I open up my computer. If I ever just stop to notice, I'll look at some of the pictures. I'm like, whoa, I literally have a picture exactly like that. Or like a memory will pop into my brain over the last couple months where I'm like, wait, I had that exact moment. Like even to a T, I have this picture of a girl golfing and she's wearing this Free People dress. I now have that dress. And I literally have a memory in my brain that looks almost identical to the image. The reason this is so powerful is because of your reticular activating system. Your reticular activating system is a part of your brain that essentially you tell your brain what to focus on. It determines what's important and what's not. Example, I have a Toyota 4Runner, a white Toyota 4Runner. After I started thinking about how I wanted to buy a white Toyota 4Runner, I literally see them everywhere. But even before I purchased it, I just started to focus on wanting that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, there's 2 white 4Runners. Oh, there's a gray 4Runner. Like they just became everywhere all the time. So that's how your reticular activating system works. What you focus on grows. You are literally telling your brain what to focus on. So if you tell your brain to focus on the more negative things, you're going to find those negative things. If you tell your brain to focus on more positive things, it's going to start focusing on more positive things, which is why I love affirmations, which we'll get into in a second. But vision boards are so powerful because you're essentially telling your brain what to look for. And when you look at it every day, even unconsciously, your brain is still like, oh, wow. Okay, like I have a Hailey Bieber picture because clear skin has been one of my goals. You know, she has that super glossy glazed donut skin. And my skin is like, honestly, I'm not going to say exactly like hers, but my skin is like getting very close to that. I also, on my vision board, so I have pictures, but I also have like little affirmations and stuff. Like, let me just pull this up, honestly. Like, I take care of my mind and body first. I attach from the outcome and trust the timing. It girl energy. Slay because of the it girl mindset. I also have kind of some quotes on there too. One of them being, nah, bigger, the universe, which has honestly, every single time I look at that, I'm like, wait, you're right. I'm thinking too small. I need to think bigger. Like if I knew the answer would be yes, what would I ask for? What's my dream outcome? Not what's realistic. Yeah, I've got snowboarding picture. Like, it's just interesting seeing all of these images and being like, okay, I literally have an exact memory of that. It's wild. So make your vision board. It's honestly just a fun activity. Light a candle, get some coffee or a fun holiday drink, and just do it on Canva. Go to Pinterest, screenshot all of the energy and the vibe that you want to embody, and then go on Canva and make yourself a vision board. It's so fun. Also, set it as your background on your phone or on your computer, somewhere where you can see it every single day. Because again, like I said, it's really powerful when you just have it. That way, your brain will continue to see it and continue to seek out experiences that align with what your vision board is, okay? It's actual neuroscience. This is not woo-woo, it's neuroscience. You have to tell your brain what you want it to focus on. And by having a vision board, you're already seeing that over and over and over again. So it's going to allow your brain and your mind to expand and look for those opportunities. And step number 7, which is the last step, which is called embody. It is not enough to just set your goals. You have to constantly show up every single day as the version of you who has those things that you want, right? 50K podcast downloads. I have to show up as someone who has that amount of podcast downloads and listeners, right? Clear skin. What is Hailey Bieber doing to her skin every single day, right? How am I taking care of my skin, body, if you have a body goal, right? How are you taking care of your body every single day? You have to embody the version of her, the future version of you that has whatever it is goal that you're striving for. And that doesn't mean you have to show up perfectly every single day to reach that goal, but you have to show up in her energy, right? So what I would do is I would create affirmations that align with these goals, okay? Whatever your goals are, create some affirmations. You can literally ask ChatGPT too and be like, these are my goals. Create some juicy, fun affirmations that I can write down every single morning. Or you can make a hypnosis. I actually just did this for myself and I've been listening to it every single morning. I made like an 8-minute hypnosis. I'm certified in hypnosis, so I can obviously create my own. But even for you, you can literally do a little voice note to yourself and just tell yourself affirmations, right? Like, I am a serious business owner. I am attracting deep aligned friendships. I make time for joy and pleasure every single day, right? You can just say these affirmations into a voice note on your phone and listen to them every single morning while you're brushing your teeth or while you're on your way to work or on a walk for the first 5 minutes. This goes along with what I said, what you focus on grows. So if you are constantly reminding yourself, no, look, like, I'm in this energy. Look, I'm focusing on this. I am a serious business owner. I'm attracting deep aligned friendships, which, as a side note, I really did that this year. Like, friendship is something that I struggled with a lot over the last years. A lot. And I met some new friends and they are deep friendships, not surface level friends, like deep friendships, okay? And that's because at the beginning of the year, I really wanted to attract aligned friendships, and because I told my brain to focus on that, guess what happened? This is another thing that is crazy. I have on my vision board like a dance studio. It's just a dance studio picture with mirrors. It's just funny because a lot of times what you actually end up manifesting, what actually ends up happening is not exactly to a T what it is. It's always something better. And so I had this dance studio, and this year I ended up finding pole dancing, which is like even more fun than regular dancing. And I met a deep aligned friendship in that as well, who's also a business owner. So it's just crazy when you actually put out into the world what you really want. And then you embody that version of you every single day, even in a small way. That doesn't mean being perfect. That doesn't mean you have to, if you have a body goal, you're only going to get there if you hit every single gym session, every single Pilates, and every single 10K step, right? No, it's not about that. It's about doing one small thing to become her every single day. And maybe that is resting over going to the gym. Again, it's not about being perfect. It's about being in alignment. And I had a very hard lesson of that this year, of what that actually means, because when you're in alignment, it's flowing, it's easy. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy every single day, but everything starts to kind of make sense. When you're working against yourself and working against the things that you want, it's going to feel hard because the universe is trying to push you in a different direction, okay? When you set goals using my 7-step method, you are going to be shocked at the end of the winter arc when you look back and you're like, wow, I can't believe everything that I actually wanted came true. It's not just setting the goals. It's not just making the vision board. You actually have to show up and take the aligned action and embody the version of you that has those things. And if you ever get stuck in your day-to-day and you really want to be real with yourself, ask yourself, what would my future self do? in moments where you're like, I really want to skip the gym. What would my future self do? And start to tap into that energy and then start taking action in the way that she would. That's how you can get radically honest with yourself. What would my future self do? The more you start to take action towards that future version of you, the quicker you will become her. Period. Also, too, with affirmations, if you don't want to record your own voice, I know sometimes that can feel weird if you have never done that before. You can just select a few affirmations and write them down in your journal every single day. Another thing that I do is sometimes I don't like to write down the same affirmations. I like to write down the affirmations that I need to hear that day. So, for example, if I know I'm going to be recording a podcast episode, I'll say, I am a top 1% podcast host. I am confident. My voice is powerful, right? I write down affirmations that I actually need to hear. So I just tell myself and I give myself those things. If your goal is reaching your dream body, it's like, okay, I am reaching my dream body. I am taking care of my body. Maybe you're feeling super tired. You had a gym session planned today, but then you are maybe in your luteal phase, about to start your period, and you have no energy. You slept like shit. You're writing, I'm allowed to rest. You're telling yourself what you need to hear in that moment, coming from your future self. Okay, I know that was a lot. I would recommend listening to this whole thing one time and then get in your journal and step by step going through this with me. You can answer the questions, pause, and put some By Me music on in the background too. Just make it a vibe. Okay, my loves, that wraps up this episode. I'm so excited to hear all of your success stories after the winter arc, because I know by you listening, especially if you're here to the end, you are going to reach your goals. Just stay committed to you in the future version of you, okay? Please, if you have any aha moments or key takeaways or something that really resonated with you, please DM me on Instagram or take a screenshot, share it on your story. It would mean the absolute world to me. Every time you share or even talk about this with a friend or a family member, it really helps the podcast grow. So if you have ever done that, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love being in your ear or on your screen. So thank you so much for being here. I freaking love you, and I'll see you in the next episode.